haven't seen.
Good to see you, Lorna. Good to see you.
So Lorna will start and we'll have a Dharma statement and she'll do an introduction and then you can say what you have to say, Norm.
Okay.
All right. Our brief Dharma statement is, in Buddhism, when practitioners share their understanding of the teachings and practice, it is offered freely as a practice of dana paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and this practice is done without expectations of getting anything in return. This is the spirit of speaking about the Dharma. Other ways to practice dana are to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunities arise. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis. Please support their practice by giving what you can. And did I understand correctly, Norm, that you didn't want any dana to come your way, or did
Right.
you?
That's correct. I'm okay. But thank you for offering all. I appreciate it. There's in front of my picture, it said, this meeting is being recorded by the host or a participant. And I'd like to get rid of that.
There should be a place to say, I got it, or.
Oh, got it. Okay. There we go.
So it's okay if we record you though, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. So I think there's a little introduction that Lorna's going to read, but I just like to tell everybody that Norm is one of the first people that Katagiri Roshi ordained. He's my senior Dharma brother. So I'm always happy to see Norm.
Yeah.
Only in that regards, right? Senior.
Happy to see you, Tejo. And yeah, I had a lot of enjoyment practicing together at Minnesota Zen Meditation Center with Tejo. She was a wonderful person to practice with. And I have wonderful memories of that. So you were very fortunate in having such a person there to be your teacher.
Oh, Norm, you're so sweet. That's why everyone loves Norm.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, Norm, you are the senior teacher at the Dharma Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, Steve Hagen, he's the founder of Dharma Field, and I'm kind of the assistant teacher. I'm just the lowly assistant. That's all.
But he has a whole house to himself.
Yeah, that's right.
After receiving his psychology degree from the University of California at Berkeley, he worked in an Air Force psychiatric clinic. In 1969, he met Dainin Katagiri Roshi in San Francisco and moved to Minneapolis when Katagiri Roshi went there in 1972. He was ordained in 1978 and received Dharma Transmission in 1989. Welcome.
That's right. Yeah.
And your talk is awareness here and now.
Yes. And I
just want to tell one story on Norm. Norm, practiced at San Francisco Zen Center, and when Katagiri Roshi left to go to Minnesota, people were asking Katagiri Roshi, they wanted to follow him to Minnesota, but Norm didn't ask. He just went.
That's right. Yeah.
Always admired that.
Well, yeah, I really wanted to continue studying with him. He was a very wonderful person to study with, as you know so well, Tito.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I'll start my talk if that's okay with everybody. First of all, I just want to say I'm going to be saying a lot of things but I don't want people to believe them in the sense of grasping them and thinking this is really how it is. These are anything that is said or the words that are used or the conceptual descriptions that are offered are just pointers to help us in our investigation of direct here and now experience. So I don't want people to hear what I say and grasp it and believe it. These, whatever is said, whatever is written, these are just pointers to help us realize what our directly experienced life is. And what our true life is what is directly experienced here and now. And our practice is to be aware here and now without being caught up in our ideas, beliefs, and assumptions, and without being caught up in our expectations. Very often we have big expectations when we start out in Zen practice. I certainly did, and I think most people do. But as much as possible, just let go of expectations, let go of the ideas that you are holding to very tightly, and just be aware here and now for the sake of being aware here and now, without expecting anything, without believing anything in particular. Just be aware here and now for the sake of being aware here and now as much as possible. And in this practice, it becomes directly evident that we're living inseparably from all beings. Our true life, our true self, is the life of all beings, functioning together inseparably. And since we're inseparable from all beings, each being we meet is our own life. And realizing this is the basis of compassion. If we realize that whatever we meet is our own life, then we can have compassion and really want to take care of whatever it is we meet, whatever situations, individuals, things, or phenomena we meet. It's inseparable from us. It's our own life. So we try to take care of it with kindness and compassion. In this practice, it also becomes directly evident that each seemingly separate being is a manifestation of totality, here and now, wholeness, here and now, universal reality, here and now, life of all beings, here and now. And each seemingly separate being is a manifestation of this here and now reality, this directly experienced here and now reality, or life of all beings, or totality, or wholeness. And this here and now reality, which is being directly experienced, is boundlessly great beyond comparison. Each being is a manifestation of that reality. So each being is boundlessly great beyond comparison. In realizing this, we can really have respect for the beings that we meet beyond our conventional ideas of respect. Our conventional ideas of respect, where we say, well, I respect this person, I don't respect that person. This is a respect, a universal respect, where we respect all beings as manifestations of this great beyond comparison life, which is our true life, and is the life of all beings. Katagiri Roshi would sometimes say, you are great beyond comparison. And he wasn't trying to give us a ego boost. He was trying to help us realize what our life is, how we are great beyond comparison. All beings are great beyond comparison. This is the life that we're living. And this is the life we try to uphold and take care of. For each seemingly separate being is manifesting totality here and now, or life of all beings here and now in its own unique way. Each being is expressing this reality. And but each being is expressing it in its own unique way. Our practice of awareness here and now, in our practice of awareness here and now, we try to find the best way to take care of each seemingly separate, uniquely manifesting being that we meet here and now. And each being is manifesting this reality in its own unique way. So how we take care of the beings we meet is case by case. We find in each moment here and now to find the best way to take care of the beings we meet. This is our effort. And this practice helps all beings and helps all beings to help us and helps all beings to help all beings. It's this practice is to fully participate in this reality where all beings are functioning together inseparably and unobstructedly and mutually influencing and helping each other. So this life of all beings, that is our true life, is functions and manifests itself in such a way as to bring about the appearance of separation of self and other. This functioning of the life of all beings also brings about the appearance of duration and time and the appearance of extension and space. The life we're living seems to be a reality in which there are lots of separate beings who interact with each other and cause other separate beings to appear and other separate events to take place. It appears to be a reality that's dualistically structured, and this is how it seems to be. And we don't ignore that appearance. We function in reality, which appears in that way. With wholehearted awareness here and now, which is carried out in Zen practice, it can be directly realized that ultimately separation of self and other, duration and time, and extension of space cannot be found. This is, we don't actually find them as separately existing categories. We can't actually find them in that way. We don't find substantial separately existing individuals or separately existing units of time or separately existing anything. But yet reality shows up with this appearance. The appearance of separation of self and others, the appearance of duration and time, and the appearance of extension in space are empty, illusory manifestations of directly experienced here now reality, totality here and now, wholeness here and now, universal reality here and now. But conventionally speaking, in accordance with conventional appearances, there seem to be separate beings, times, places, situations, activities, emotions, thoughts, desires, and events to which names, labels, ideas, personal pronouns, and conceptual categories can be applied. It really looks like there's this reality of all this separation, that we have names and labels, and we, in accordance with how things appear to be, in accordance with conventional speech, we use names, labels, ideas, personal pronouns, and conceptual categories. We don't throw that out. We don't ignore that. We try to get along and communicate in the conventional, seemingly dualistic world, where there seems to be separation of self and others, without being caught by the one-sided belief that there actually is this separation. In the practice of awareness here and now, we try to let go of our attachment to any one-sided idea or belief, even ideas of oneness or ideas of no separation or the idea of emptiness. Try to let go of any ideas that we're attached to and fully live out this directly experienced here now reality. Then we can be kind and helpful to ourselves and others as we are, without being caught up in our one-sided ideas and beliefs of who and what we are. We can help all the seemingly separate beings without being caught by the one-sided belief that they actually are separate beings. Also, we can take care of the life of all beings, in which all beings are living one inseparable life, without being caught in a one-sided belief in oneness. Also, we can use ideas and words and concepts, conceptual abstractions, without being caught by the belief that here now reality or life of all beings exactly corresponds to these conceptual abstractions. Our practice is to fully live as the life of all beings here and now, without being caught up in our limited one-sided beliefs and ideas, without being caught up in our expectations. And being caught up in our expectations is another way of being caught up in our ideas and beliefs. When we caught up in our expectations, we're thinking, I, separate ego, self, me, I'm lacking something, and I want to use this practice as a technique to get what I'm lacking. I want to gain states of enlightenment, peace, freedom, wisdom. I want to get something that I'm lacking. So we enter into this practice with expectation. This is a very common situation for people. We want to get something out of this practice, and that's why we enter into it. But this is just another way of being caught up in our one-sided ideas and beliefs. We're not, strictly speaking, lacking anything, and that's not an idea to hang on to either. Whatever idea we're hanging on to, it's still a limited view. When we see we're caught up in our limited, one-sided ideas and beliefs, just be aware. Resume the practice of being aware here and now, for the sake of being aware here and now. And in this practice, allow our attachments to these ideas and beliefs and expectations to naturally drop away by themselves, and fully live as we truly are, fully live as the life of all beings here and now, fully live the wholeness, the totality, the directly experienced here now reality that is our true life. It's by holding on to these ideas and beliefs that we ignore this directly experienced reality and live our life based on these one-sided ideas and beliefs, rather than living our life based on this awareness to actual direct here now experience. So our practice is to see and let go of how the life of all beings, which is our true life, is ignored, and fully live this life of all beings, which is our true life. We need to see that we're caught up in our limited one-sided ideas and beliefs, and just acknowledge that, admit that, allow that to drop away, and resume the practice of just being aware to this, which is showing up here and now. We can't objectively see what this reality of here and now is. We can't conceptually understand it, but we can directly experience it. And it's everything is a manifestation of it. It's always being directly experienced now. Everything is a manifestation of it. It can't be hidden. But it's not something that can be seen objectively or understood conceptually. And this is where people usually go when they want to understand something. They want to get the right idea about it. and they try to grasp at ideas and or else they try to analyze it and figure it out. But these are just ways of ignoring our actual experience. The ideas that are used and the explanations that are offered are just pointers to help us in our investigation of direct here now experience. They're not ideas to be grasped and believed and held on to. In holding on to these ideas, we're ignoring our actual direct experience. We're ignoring this life in which we're living inseparably and unobstructedly from all beings. And our practice is to help all beings. And this practice helps all beings. And it enables all beings to help us and enables all beings to help all beings. This is a great practice which cannot be understood conceptually, but this is a great way of life that we try to live. And our practice is to fully participate in this reality. But we don't throw out ideas, and we don't throw them out. They can be very helpful as pointers. It's just usually we get caught by them, and we think that the understanding this way of life and this practice is about getting the right idea about it. But we're overlooking the actual practice when we do that. So once again, our practice to be aware here and now without expectation, without being caught up in our one-sided ideas of how things are. But say that practice is to be aware here and now. This awareness is not the conventional idea of awareness. Conventional idea of awareness, usually we think I, separate ego, self, me, I'm doing something called being aware. Or I, separate ego, self, me, I'm striving for a state called awareness. But these are seeing awareness as something in particular, something that can be objectified and conceptually grasped. And we're overlooking the actual awareness, which is our true life when we live in that way. Eventually, it can be directly realized that awareness here and now is what we are. This can be eventually realized. It can't be realized conceptually. It can't be realized objectively, but it can be realized directly. And each being is a manifestation of this awareness, or we could say awakeness. But this is a subjectless, objectless awareness or awakeness. Technical term for this is Buddha nature. Subjectless, objectless awareness or awakeness. It's not something that can be defined. It's not something that can be seen objectively. But this is our true life. And I'm not trying to give people an idea of Buddha nature in a grasp, but this is the term that's used to point to this life, which is our true life. And Katagiri Roshi used to say, you are Buddha, all beings are Buddha. And what he meant by this was all beings are manifestations of Buddha nature. And the last lecture he gave, a very moving lecture, it was at Dharma Transmission ceremony. Tejo was there, and he was very sick at that time, and shortly before he died of cancer. And he had to be helped to sit down on his cushion. But even though he's very weak, he gave a very powerful lecture. And during that lecture, he emphasized again and again, you are Buddha, all beings are Buddha. A very wonderful, powerful lecture. And so I'll never forget that. And that's been very inspirational to me. So ultimately, practice is not a means to become an awakened person or a Buddha. Practice is to be the Buddha or awareness or awakeness that you are right now, and to respect each being as Buddha. This is not to get some idea of it, but to really live it. We need to see and let go of our ideas, and then we can really live it and not overlook it, as we usually do by being caught up in our ideas and expectations, as we usually are. So our practice is to see and let go of how Buddha nature, or awareness, or awakeness, or wholeness, or totality, or directly experienced here now reality, to see and let go of how it's ignored, and to fully live the awareness, awakeness, totality, wholeness. That is what we truly are. And but our practice, we need to see when we're caught up in limited views, see when we're overlooking actual experience. Our practice is to see and let go of how directly experienced here now reality is ignored, and fully live directly experienced here now reality. And in this practice, a joyful way of life is possible. This is not a joy that we strive to get. It is not an egocentric joy. It's not a joy that we can see objectively or understand conceptually. This joy is letting go of grasping our egocentric ideas and beliefs, and fully living out directly experienced here now reality. This is fully living as we truly are. This is the joy of living as we are, in harmony with all beings, in harmony with reality. This is the joy of living without the confusion of being caught up in egocentric, one-sided views. This is the joy of living inseparably from all beings who are mutually assisting each other. And this is the joy of having the opportunity in each moment to express our gratitude to all beings. But this is not a conventional idea of joy. I'll give some examples of conventional idea of joy. The joy, the true joy, is beyond these examples. One was an example of my metal shop teacher back in 8th grade. And he used to love Fridays. And he used to call it Joy Supreme Day. Fridays he would call Joy Supreme Day. And every Friday, he would say to us boys in his metal shop class, he'd say to us, boys, what day is it today? And then he'd have us answer him in unison, It's Joy Supreme Day, Mr. B. That was his name, Mr. B, Mr. Blanchard. We all called him Mr. B. And Mr. B really loved Fridays. And you learn very quickly in his metal shop class that you'd do much better to turn your project in on a Friday rather than some other day of the week. If you turned it in on some other day of the week, he might look at it and say, you know, this is pretty sloppy. You better do this over again. You know, he was much more strict with you if it was some other day of the week than Friday. But if you turned it in on Friday, he'd look at it and say, you know, I like the freestyle way you did this. This is really creative. So he really loved Fridays. And I don't know what he had going on the weekend, but it must have been pretty good because he really loved Fridays. And another story about where we are looking forward to something. This back in the 6th grade, or 5th grade rather, we were told that in a couple of weeks we were going to be able to get out of school and go see the circus. And we were all thinking that was so great, get out of school and then see the circus in addition to that. We're really excited about that. So for a couple of weeks, we were joyfully anticipating the circus and thinking how great it would be when we go to the circus. And but when it actually came time when the circus actually arrived and we were there at the circus, it wasn't that great. You know, we were thinking, gosh, we were really joyfully anticipating this wonderful event, but it's not that great, you know. We were really disappointed. Our joyful anticipation was completely unwarranted. But there was one part of the circus that all of us kids really liked, and that we did find some joy in. And that was when the trained pigs came out and did their performance. And the thing that was amusing about the trained pigs was how incredibly poorly trained they were. They were astonishingly poorly trained pigs, and those kids were busting up in hysterics watching the trained pigs. But if we'd known when we first heard about going to the circus a couple of weeks ago, if we'd known the highlight of the event was going to be seeing these poorly trained pigs, it's highly unlikely that we would have looked forward to this event with such joyful anticipation. But the joy that I'm talking about is beyond the conventional idea of joy, beyond these ideas of satisfying our desires and having something exciting to look forward to. This is the joy of really letting go of our confusion and living as we are. We can't see this joy objectively. We can't understand it conceptually, but we can live this joyful life where all beings are helping all beings. And we have a great opportunity to live this life with all beings. Let's see. Do you have any questions about anything I've said or comments?
I have a comment. I have a question.
Yeah.
You said awakening can't be realized conceptually, but has to be realized directly. Could you explain that a little bit more? How that happens? What that means?
Whatever I say is a conceptual explanation. It's all our explanations are conceptual explanations about it. the conceptual explanations are pointers to help us see what is directly experienced. It can't be explained, it can't be objectified, but it can be directly experienced. Always aim at that direct experience. And most of what my talk was today was to try to point to what that direct experience is, while constantly encouraging people not to grasp any idea that I offer. So that's kind of a strange explanation. It's kind of a non-explanation. But just be aware as much as possible. Just be aware. Whatever, and just to see what's happening here and now.
It seems like when we try to have that experience, though, that becomes a concept.
Yeah, that's right. There's that experience and I'm lacking. I want to get that experience. There's,
Right.
there's separate ego self me who is lacking that experience. And there's this wonderful practice that will enable me to get that experience. And so, right there, we're God. So that's why I say as much as possible, let go of expectations and just be aware here and now for the sake of being aware here and now. As much as possible, but we're highly conceptual beings. Me too. And there's our tendencies to get caught up in our ideas again and again, caught up in our expectations again and again. Caught up in our conceptual models of how things are. But just the practice is to see when we're doing that and allow it to drop away. And just resume the practice of living directly here and now, as much as we can, living that life of all beings, living that life that is all beings functioning together. So life, this is how we save all beings, is to live that life. So whatever conceptual explanation I offer is not good enough. But the practice is to just do it. Just live it as much as we can. Without expecting anything. That's hard to do because we're so highly conceptual. I say, I shouldn't expect anything. That's ridiculous. If I do something, I want to get something from it. That's a very natural reaction. And I for a number of years was really, boy, I really want that enlightenment experience. That sounds really great. But eventually it can be seen that there's nothing to get. It's already right here.
So those examples that you gave about conventional joy, can you clarify a little bit more the distinction you're making between the joy that comes from practice or from being present and the joy that's more conventional?
Yeah. Well, the joy that I'm talking about is the joy of letting go of confusion. When we're holding to our ideas, there's confusion there. This is the joy of letting go of that confusion. The conventional joy I was giving examples of, there's lots of confusion there. There's me and the wonderful, joyful experience I'll have and the wonderful joy I'll have satisfying my desires. There's all sorts of, there's all kinds of ways of being caught up in concept there. But the true joy is to just let go of the confusion, let go of that conceptualizing and really live this reality.
So would you say that true joy comes from just learning how to let go or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's seeing we're caught and letting go.
So
And
could,
endless letting go.
so if we just experience conventional joy as more than just a momentary thing, could that become true joy if we just kind of experienced it and let go of it, do you think?
Yeah. 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 When letting go, when there's letting go, then true joy is there.
It's kind of a freedom.
Yeah. Letting go of the confusion and really living your life as it is, and helping all beings to live their life as it is. This is why our practice is to save all beings. Is to really participate in that life where all beings are functioning together, separately, unobstructedly. To really live that life is to help all beings, save all beings.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Those are good questions.
I have a response.
Yes, hi Phoebe.
I just want to add to the discussion that what's percolating in me is, of course, these are just ideas, but that it was kind of clear when we were talking about examples of conventional joy that these were dependent on on something,
Yeah.
anticipating something or experiencing something, or
Right.
and the kind of joy that that you're talking about, I would see as more like sort of like almost like a ground of being, like subtle pervasive joy that's there, maybe even all the time, but we aren't always aware of it. And part of our practice of awareness is to remain in touch with that joy. And I think that joy is partly um, practice helps nurture that joy, but also, and then our experience sort of informs our intuition, so that even when we don't understand it, we sort of still know it's there. It's kind of still there. It's kind of a support, and it's um, partly based on the realization that we are not separate. Because if we aren't separate, then we are more in touch with um, life, and life as being part of me, being part of life, and life being me. It's not. It's all sort of one thing, and it's a very joyful thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the basis of compassion is realizing we're inseparable from all beings, but it's not. I don't mean to grasp that as an idea, but to really directly see it, directly live it. That's the basis of compassion.
And I think that our practice helps us be aware, so that we actually do experience that. And when we're not aware, we still, in a way, have those seeds, those seeds of awareness in us.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's already, this awareness is our life. It's already there.
Yes.
It's already there. Just need to see and let go of how we ignore this awareness, which is our true life, and really live this life. As Katagiri Roshi said, you are Buddha. All beings are Buddha. He didn't say, just Zen students are Buddha. The rest of forget. He said all beings are Buddha. It's our true life already, but we just overlook it. A strong tendency to overlook it.
Because it's hard to accept that I am Buddha.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Very true. Yeah, it's if we're thinking I, separate ego, self, me, am Buddha, it's kind of more of our grasping conception.
Dogen says that everything is Buddha nature.
Yeah.
Kind of saying it's not that everything has Buddha nature, everything is Buddha nature.
Right.
In that context, it's a little easier for me to accept that I'm part of that. Because Buddha is just like what you're talking about, the true experience of reality.
That's right. That's right. If we say everything has Buddha nature, there's the idea of the
Right.
person who has something in
Yeah.
particular, you know, we're
Yeah.
caught up in ideas again. Yeah, that's a much better way of saying it. But it's in Zen literature, sometimes it's said all beings have the Buddha nature, but I like the way Dogen says it. And
Yeah, Dogen contests about just about everything that was taught at his time, I've noticed.
yeah,
It's not that way, it's this way.
yeah, Dogen, he's boy, he was a really smart guy in many ways, in my opinion.
Can I add something?
What was that?
Can I add something?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it's helpful for me actually to think in my Zen vocabulary, which included God. Somehow it was easier for me to understand. It's still a concept, but that. And when we say God, they immediately like do this dualistic thing of there's God and me. But if we think of God as being inclusive, like I am in God and God is in me, and it is, it's like saying everything is Buddha nature, everything is God, and I am part of that. And
Suzuki Roshi sometimes would say that. Suzuki Roshi would sometimes use God interchangeably with Buddha nature. You know.
Mhm.
The idea that God is everything. I think I've been thinking about that too. In fact, that's the first thing I wrote in my notes at the beginning of this talk. It's kind of like, instead of saying God is in everything, instead of saying everything has Buddha nature, to say that God is everything. That's a whole different
Yeah,
experience of the words even.
Right.
it is.
There's no inside and outside.
No inside and outside, no in between. But yet it looks like inside, outside, in between, and we function or try and get along in reality where there seems to be that. Yeah, seems that way.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for your talk. And I just want to share what's coming up for me is just this, my effort to hold an awareness of a separation and a connection at the same time. Especially, I mean, recently I was in a situation where I was witnessing someone else's anger at another, like another group of people. And I was very uncomfortable witnessing that and feeling myself disconnect when I really wanted to connect. So I had to not identify so much with this other group of people and identify with the feeling that was being expressed by this person, the feeling of pain and anger and injustice. And then I was able to actually connect more with the feeling than separate myself from this other person. And I mean, I was actually starting to feel like defensive, but I didn't, I really wanted to connect. And it's made me think about like, how like my different identities, the different ways that I identify myself as white woman, Buddhist, middle-aged, in the LGBTQ community, not straight, how the different ways I identify myself can could connect me with some people, but separate me from others. And then if I pull back from that and identify with these human feelings or values, needs or wants, then I can feel more connected with just human beings as opposed to separating myself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we still can be aware of what it looks like, all these different categories, but to also know that that's not the complete picture, but yet still there are different groups of people that we need to relate to, and we don't relate to this all people the same way. We have to find each way each being is showing up and living their life and finding a way to really take care of that situation and be really help that person and really have a good interaction with them. Yeah, it's important not to get caught by a one-sided idea of these categories that I see, or that's the complete picture of how it is, or to get caught by the idea it's all one, so I can treat everybody the same. Either way, we're getting caught. We need to have a flexibility there, which enables us to function in this reality, which seems to be all these different divided up categories, and also a reality in which is one inseparable life. That's a very good thing to notice.
And it seems like that's kind of what you were talking about when you're talking about using the word compassion.
Yeah,
It's connecting with more of the feelings rather than on the totality, rather than looking at in a discriminating way as
yeah,
the person is, I don't like the way this person is expressing their feelings, rather
right.
than just connecting with the feelings themselves.
Yeah, we're not caught up in the discriminations, and where we're aware of the discriminations, but without being caught by them. That's the difference.
It seems like compassion is tricky though, because we usually think of it in the opposite way. We usually think,
have an idea.
I feel sorry for this person or something.
Yeah, I know. Poor boy, I feel sorry for you. Katagiri Roshi. Oh, poor boy, I feel sorry for you. But
What my book is describing is more like seeing the humanness of everybody and connecting with that.
yeah, it's compassion. I believe it means to feel with, just feeling with everybody and really living with everybody. That's the true compassion. And conceptual ideas of compassion they can be helpful sometimes, but the true compassion is beyond any concept we can have of it.
I have an example to add to Brooke's story, and I have a close relationship with someone who is sometimes harsh in her sarcasm in a way that can be feel hurtful. And once when I felt particularly bad about this, like I was crying because she hurt me, and I talked to a friend about it, and the friend said, but think about where this is coming from. Think about how it is to be her, that she's feeling this way. And I immediately felt some compassion for her, for the feelings that she was having that led to her to latch out at me, and therefore was able to let go of it being personal. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I was the victim, but I wasn't really the target. That she was venting her pain, and in this case it was like anger that came out at me, and I realized, oh my goodness, that's really coming from a deep place of pain in her, and I was able to care about that instead of just feeling like attacked. I could care about the pain that she was carrying.
That's right. And there's a lot of pain in the world, a lot of people feeling tremendous pain. And so they're going to end up being a lot of people dumping on each other. You know,
Yeah.
it's
And we take things so personally
yeah,
rather than, letting go of that kind of personal feeling that we feel.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's good not to take things personally, but yet we
Hard.
we all do. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not an easy world. Becoming clearer and clearer how deeply rooted these uh, our attachments to our ideas are, and our attachments to our beliefs, how deeply rooted that is. So I feel I'm at the beginning stage of this real life. I got a long way to go, because we all have this great tendency to hold on to these ideas and beliefs and fears and assumptions.
It seems like, no matter how much we experience what you're talking about, through our practice, through our effort, it seems like we're always still beginning.
Yeah, we are. And that's a good way to be, but begin. Where do we begin? Here now, here now. It is a fresh start here now, each moment.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, always be a beginner. Yeah, right here now. Just this. This is great. Live your life this way. I wish I could do it better than I do. But I need to let go of that idea too. So,
Well, you experienced Suzuki Roshi. You studied with him for a while, right?
yes.
And somebody was telling me about that he had a kind of a stutter, or he cleared his throat a lot or something, and he was very, very embarrassed about
Yeah,
that.
he would have he'd get congestion as he especially when he was at Tassajara and it was colder down there and he'd have to clear his throat more. So yeah, he would do that sometimes.
But I heard that he was kind of embarrassed about that. And I always found it admirable that, and kind of, it's kind of nice to know that this person who is kind of an icon for me, I never met Suzuki Roshi, that he had so much wisdom, and yet he had, things that he was embarrassed about, that he couldn't
Yeah.
give a talk without clearing his throat. And
He would mention things like that too, he'd sometimes he would speak in an angry way, and he would apologize later on. I was too angry when I said that. So he would acknowledge his mistakes and acknowledge when he'd slipped up. And
Katagiri Roshi was like that too.
yes, that's right. He was very,
Good guy.
yeah, he was very, very humble man.
Yeah.
And a very joyful man too. I mean, you just look at his face and you feel joyful. The way he had this merry twinkle in his eye, and he could,
Yes.
of course he had pain in his life like everybody else, but there was a deep joy there that was really, really inspired me.
Yeah. Well, we're at the end of the hour here, so
Yeah. Okay. Well, gosh. Well, I just wanted to speak to you, Brooke. I wanted to thank you for that wonderful coffee cup that you gave me years ago. It had a picture of the Buddha on it and a picture of the Bodhi tree. Oh, wonderful. I have that on my altar. And I just wanted to thank you for that. That's a wonderful, wonderful gift you gave me years ago when you and Tejo and some other members of the group came here to Dharma Field. So, well, anyway, well, thank you all very much for coming here. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Norm, I want to mention that Brooke drew that.
That I know that. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, you're a great artist. That was beautiful.
Yes.
So, well, now we'll give back the merit. This is call and response. If somebody could respond. May the merit of this practice
The merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much. I really enjoyed myself with you guys today.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This is
Oh,
good.
thank you.
Always nice to see you, Norm.
Oh, great to see you, Tejo. Thank you all.
Trey and Lorna, can you stay on after everyone leaves?
What's that?
I'm talking to